I'd like to call to order the Town of McCandless Council's regular business meeting for March 26, 2018. The invocation will be done by Councilmember Powers and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
As we gather here today as members of the Town of McCandless, we pray that we are mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make McCandless a great place in which to live.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I move to approve the minutes of Council's regular business meeting of February 26, 2018, and special meeting of March 12, 2018 is submitted to each member of Council.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second to adopt the minutes from the regular business meeting as well as the special meeting. Are there any comments or any changes that need to be made from council? Any comments from any citizens? There's been a motion, a second, and time for discussion. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as they are, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes are accepted. Announcements. I just want to remind council that if you have not registered for the March 27th emergency management meeting, please go online and do that. It's the G402. Make sure you have some time because it's quite a process. Any other announcements? All right. Reports to committees. Chief DeSanti, would you like to say a few words?
Madam President, thank you. Good evening to all. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce to you our new police officers who will be sworn in tonight. Officer Richard Cirillis is a young man who I'm extremely impressed with, as was counsel. Richard rose above some adversity in his life. He came to the North Hills area, attended and graduated from North Allegheny in 2006. Richard served with honor in the United States Marine Corps in Afghanistan from 2008 to 2011. In 2013, he started his law enforcement career with the Pittsburgh Police Department in Zone 4. Richard will bring to the town of McCandless some very valuable experience as he was part of a special response team which handles critical incidents and hazmat situations. The thing that most impressed me with Rick when I sat down was his genuine sincerity to come back home and serve here in McCandless and to make a difference in kids' lives and have an impression upon him. Very touching how he feels that sincere about that. I believe Rick will bring those skills and his experience to help impact our children and our community in a positive way. When I sat down with him, he also touched my heart. He told me about his hero, and his hero is sitting here tonight of his mother. He also said he was scared of you more than any other human being that he knew. And he said he also respected you more. And he told me a lot about a wooden spoon. He said that had a calming effect on him. But he really does appreciate and love you very much and for what he's been. Without delay, would you be kind enough to come up and pin your son's badge on him? Madam President, would you please administer the oath of office?
Repeat after me, except where it says state your name. You state your name. I
I,
state your name.
Richard Cirillos,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of police officer
and that I will discharge the duties of police officer
for the town of McCandless
for the town of McCandless
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations. You're in there. It does my heart good to see a boy love his mama.
There's always a wooden spoon, though.
Mom with the wooden spoon. Let's have a picture. Bruce, where are you? We have our council president. Madam President.
Richard's just like to make a few comments.
One more picture.
Oh, we got a picture with the three of us.
Bruce, know how to use that.
He's not gonna be able to see.
All right, I won't take up too much of everybody's time. Just want to thank City Council for seeing something in me to come back home. I really, really do appreciate that. And it's truly an honor. I mean that. I want to thank Chief DeSanti for also giving me the opportunity and numerous interviews that we had and the discussions, which it was great. It was very, very nice to talk to you on that type of level. So thank you for that. I want to thank my friends and family, my mom for the numerous wooden spoons that put me in this position that I'm in today, and toughening me up for the Marine Corps and everything else. So thank you guys for showing up, and thank you for being a part of my life. And just thank you, and I promise for the city, the township of McCandless, I won't let you guys down. I'll do everything in my power to help you guys out. So thank you.
Madam President, I move to adopt ordinance 1473, an ordinance establishing a no parking zone 200 feet in length established at the end of Collington Square, including both turnaround areas.
Second.
There's been a motion and second to make a no parking zone. Is there any discussion in council? Any comments from the audience? There's been a motion, a second, and time for discussion. All those in favor of adopting ordinance number 1473 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Zoning Committee?
I move to approve the suspension of sidewalks on West Ridge Road, which is an Allegheny County road, within Park Edge 2 plan of lots until such time as Allegheny County installs sidewalks on West Ridge Road.
Second the motion.
There's been a motion and a second to suspend the sidewalks on West Ridge Road. Are there any questions or comments from council?
I'll just say that West Ridge Road connects Babcock Boulevard, which up near the, across from Presidential Arms, up near the North Park swimming pool, to Coomer Road. It seems logical to suspend the time of the developer has to put in the sidewalks on West Ridge Road till sidewalks are put in the property by the county. Otherwise, you'd have a sidewalk to nowhere.
Any other comments? Any comments from citizens? There's been a motion, a second, and time for discussion on the suspension of sidewalks on West Ridge. Is all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Finance and Personnel Committee.
I move to ratify checklisting number 3 dated February 8th, 2018 through March 7th, 2018, totaling $683,926.74 as submitted to each member of council and posted on the bulletin board.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to ratify the check listing, number 3. Is there any questions by council? Any questions from citizens or comments? Hearing no questions, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor of ratifying checklist number 3 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I move to adopt resolution number 5, a resolution awarding the allocation of 25% of 2017 Regional Asset District, known as RAD, proceeds that exceeded the amount received in 2016 of $1,909.81 as per Act 77 of 1993 may be transferred to Northland Public Library.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to award these extra funds to Northland Public Library. Any comments from anyone from council? Questions? Any citizen comments? Okay, there's been a motion, a second, and time for comments. All those in favor of giving this money to the library indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Public Works Committee.
Madam President, I move to award a contract to Park Edge Excavating, the lowest responsible bidder, for rental of a .75 cubic yard or larger excavating machine with operator and a high lift with a 1.5 cubic yard bucket or larger with operator, each at a rate of $88 an hour.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to accept this contract. Are there any questions from council? It was the lowest responsible bidder. Any questions from citizens? There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor of awarding this contract indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Madam President, I move to authorize the purchase of a new dump truck, new dump body and hydraulic salt spreading system in the amount of $67,325 from Stevenson Equipment, Inc. under CoStar's contract number 025-021 for town truck chassis number 3105, authorized by town council in January 2018.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments from council about this dump truck salt apparatus? Any comments or questions from citizens? Hearing none, there's been a motion, a second, and time for discussion. All those in favor of authorizing the purchase of this new dump and hydraulic salt spreading system indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Madam President, I move to award a contract to Allegheny Mineral Corporation for various sizes of construction limestone and riprap stone material under the Pennsylvania CoStar's pricing system. Contract number 4600015610.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments from council? Any comments from citizens? Hearing none, there is a motion and a second to award this contract to the lowest responsible bidder. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Madam President, I move to adopt resolution number 6, a resolution to authorize signing of an automated red light enforcement ARLE grant agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. The grant is for pedestrian traffic signal improvements and preemption devices at various intersections.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments from council about this resolution?
Brief comment.
All right.
The town applied for what's called an Arley grant 3 years ago and 2 years ago, and last year, this past year, our application saw the light of day, and it's a 100% award of $135,000 from the state for this work. So we're very grateful for that.
Any other comments from council? Any comments from citizens? It's always nice to get some money to make improvements, isn't it? There's been a motion, a second. Time for comments. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any unfinished business from council? There's none.
Under new business, A, move to accept the resignation of Bill Kirk as a member of the Town of McCandless Environmental Advisory Committee.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to accept the resignation of Bill Kirk as a member of the EAC. I appreciate Councilman Kirk as well as Councilmember Swagger for giving up these positions to allow citizens to occupy these positions, so I do appreciate that. Any other comments or questions?
It was an honor to serve, Madam President.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the citizens? All those in favor of accepting the resignation of Councilmember Kirk from the EAC indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I move to appoint Justin Amino to complete the unexpired term of Bill Kirk on the Town of McCandless Environmental Advisory Committee, effective immediately and to expire on August 31st, 2020.
Second.
There was a motion and a second. Are there any other nominations?
Madam President, I move to appoint Shelley Sponholz to the unexpired term.
Excuse me, Mr. Kirk, I think since this is being done by motion instead of nomination, what we need to do is have a vote on that first motion to see if it carries, and if it does not, then there could be a second motion.
I see.
made.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. All those in favor of?
Wait, do you want to give the opportunity for comment from the
Yes. Okay.
public?
Any other comments here? Council, no? Comments from the citizens? Okay, hearing none. There's been a motion. Let me look at his last name. What was James' last name?
Justin Amino.
Justin Amino, to complete the Councilman Kirk's position on the EAC. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay.
Nay.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Ward 1,
We'll start with Ward 2.
Ward 2,
Nay.
3.
Ward 3,
Nay.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Ward 5,
Aye.
Ward 6 is absent, Ward 7.
Aye.
Okay, so we have 3 votes in favor, 2 against. We need
The chair votes for a tie or break a tie. My vote is nay,
so it makes for a 3-3 tie.
so the motion does not carry.
Correct, motion fails.
Motion fails. All right, are there other motions?
Move to appoint Shelley Sponholz to the unexpired term of Bill Kirk.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion, a second. Any comments by, or questions from council?
One comment, we had, I want to say that I spoke to both candidates since I was unable to attend the interviews by council. And we have two very excellent candidates. Ms. Bonholtz, I believe, more closely reflects the skills and capabilities that I brought to the environmental committee. And so, and hence my recommendation to appoint her.
Any other comments? Any comments from the citizens? There's been a motion, a second, time for comments to nominate Shelley Sponholz to finish the expired term of Councilman Kirk. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Roll call vote.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Nay.
Ward 5,
Aye.
Ward 6 is absent, Ward 7,
Nay.
and Ward 1.
Aye.
Madam Chairman, the vote was 4 in favor, 2 against. Motion passes.
C.
Move to accept the resignation of Carolyn Swigert as a member of the Town of McCandless Environmental Advisory Committee.
Second.
Any comments from council? Any comments from citizens? There has been a motion and a second. Time for comments to accept the resignation of Councilmember Swagger. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to appoint Judy Bishop to complete the unexpired term of Carolyn Schweiger on the Town of McCandless Environmental Advisory Committee, effective immediately and to expire on August 31st, 2020.
I second the motion.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any comments from council? Any comments from citizens? All right, all those in favor of appointing Judy Bishop to complete the unexpired term of Council Member Swagger on the EAC indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Nay.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Ward 5,
Nay.
Ward 6, absent, Ward 7,
Aye.
Ward 1.
Nay.
Tie. Motion fails.
Are there any other nominations?
Madam President, I move to appoint Jane Menchik to complete the unexpired term of Carolyn Schweiger in the Town of McCandless Environmental Advisory Committee, effective immediately and expire on August 31st, 2020.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any comments from council? Again, these decisions are very difficult because of the quality of the individuals who apply for our committees. It is a very difficult job. Any comments from citizens? There's been a motion and a second to appoint Jane Minchek to complete the expired term of Council Member Swagger for the EAC. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
I move to adopt resolution number 7 of the 2018 series, a resolution authorizing the town manager to sign the grant agreement signature page of a request for grant funding from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, DCNR, for a trail project in the Wall Park Valley.
Second the motion.
There has been a motion and a second. Do you want to speak to this a little bit?
This, customarily, a resolution like this would have been reviewed at a committee meeting, but time is of the essence a bit, and I'll explain why. This has been an ongoing discussion. A trail has been planned for the Wall Park Valley for a good number of years. The town has been doing work at the upper end of the valley, a hard fill area, as Brian Morth instructed me. It's a hard fill, not a landfill. And that area, as it's being completed, prompted our Environmental Advisory Committee to look at trails as one of the priorities that the town has and should have. So this valley has been studied in detail by our Environmental Advisory Committee, walked by it, and liaison, our council president, Kim Zachary, and came to the recommendation last fall that was accepted by town council that up to $5,000 be approved by council for this year's budget to help the Environmental Advisory Committee pursue more work on the development of a concept plan that they would work on. Along came an opportunity in January that was announced by this DCNR, the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, DCNR. That's our state, it's a state agency. And they extended this opportunity through April the 11th that a grant be submitted. The Environmental Advisory Committee has worked with the Rachel Carson Trails Conservancy they prepared a presentation that was set before Town Council earlier this month. Our EAC liaison from town staff, John Bajarski, has been working with the DCNR, and the regional representative, Kathy Frankel, was not able to meet with us. She's pretty busy and spread pretty thin, but she was able to meet with us just last Thursday. So she gave us a very detailed briefing on funding that would be available simply for a planning grant to take us for the next incremental step, which would be to develop a master development concept plan for this valley, this Wall Park Valley Trail, and it is a proposal, and the grant request requires signing off, and I would be authorized to sign off. One person is signed off who's going to shepherd it from a staff perspective. And we had a handout that we put together with our stormwater engineer who was asked to meet with us at this meeting last Thursday. If anybody wants to see that, it's available up on the small table. It's a summary of the design cost estimate. So in order for us to be able to proceed with the grant application, we had to have an idea how much a concept plan would cost to develop. So that is shown on this little spreadsheet. The total amount of estimated work is $19,500. DCNR will fund 50% of that amount if we're awarded the grant. Our stormwater engineer, PVE LLC, who is they are the appropriate party to do this work because there's a lot of wetlands and slopes and streams and woodlands and so forth in this valley. It's a fairly delicate area, and it has some deed restrictions on properties. They're quite acquainted and well practiced in these things. And not only did they take great interest in this project to be able to do it, they have volunteered to contribute $3,500 worth of services to the project, which can be attributed as part of our match to the grant. So that leaves the town with an obligation that we would have of $6,250 if we are awarded the grant. We already have $5,000 budgeted, and so to make council aware that we would need another $1,250 toward this project in order to capture $9,750, and it sounded like a pretty good deal. So that's why we're up for this vote tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from council? From citizens? All right, there has been a motion and a second, and time for discussion to allow the town manager to sign for this grant proposal. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This is the public comment time of the meeting. Okay.
First, on behalf, Rita Martin, Grubbs Road, on behalf of the library, being on the foundation board, your support of the library at McCandless is just fabulous. Thank you so much for the funds that you give us every year. I appreciate it so much. And secondly, we have a cleanup day on April 7th, and it hasn't been mentioned here, and we won't be meeting again. So anybody listening in the Netherlands there in the internet, make sure you get down here to clean up on the 7th in the morning from 9:30, I think, until noon. So there are many teams that are getting organized, and I hope that everybody comes. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita.
Brian Moore, 919 Cumberland Road, Vice Chair of the EAC. Jason could not be here tonight, so he asked that I go ahead and do this. The Environmental Advisory Committee extends its gratitude to Bill Kirk, and Carolyn Schweiger for their year and a half of service to the committee. The EAC thanks them for the time, efforts, insight, and knowledge that each contributed to the committee and the town residents. The EAC looks forward to working with them as council members. Secondly, the Environmental Advisory Committee extends a public welcome to our newly appointed members, Michelle Spoonholtz and Jane Menchek. The EAC thanks them for their interest in serving the town on the EAC. The EAC looks forward to collaborating with them, using their talents, insight, and knowledge to sustain and enhance the town. Thank you.
Very nice, thank you. Any other citizens' comments?
John Harrison, 1473 Hedwig Drive. Last couple months, you've been publishing the numbers for, I guess, for quite some time, but looking at what we spend money on in the borough, going through this, there's some large items that keep jumping out each and every month, and one of the, obviously the rock salt's pretty straightforward, $40,000 here, $60,000 there. We've had a fun winter. But the questions that come up to mind is going through this and seeing these large chunks of money that are being spent on attorney fees. $37.74, another $14,668.97, and I'm just trying to understand what we get for those fees. And then there's also seeing what we spend on between electric and heating on these. I guess I'm just trying to understand, have a better idea of how the bills are as large as they are, and even the telephone, any of the utilities, when there's electric bills that are showing here, and I'm thinking this is only a month's worth of bills, maybe it's 2 months worth of bills, but the numbers seem to be rather large. And have we looked into possibly doing what the school district did and trying to get better pricing on our utilities? I know that the district just recently redid some of their contracts, and when they did it, they were able to save over the 3-year period somewhere in the range of $100,000. So, and it was of somewhere in the range of a $400,000 bill. So that's a rather large savings. And we just passed to let Toby be able to sign off on the upgrades to the park, which is a great thing for the people, but again, it becomes a shortfall in a budget that you don't have money accounted for. So if we were to basically be able to get some of our utilities in line and some of our other expenses, you would actually have more money to be able to do things that were actually useful to the community. And I'm not sure if anybody looks at these and questions any of the invoices or the pricing, but I'm just, I'm seeing, and maybe some of the stuff, obviously you've got wages here that is people's paychecks, but then I also see that there's union dues that the borough pays, and it may be part of the collective bargaining agreement that has been put in place. But do the workers actually pay part of those union dues, or is that strictly something that is totally covered by the borough? And if that's the case, that seems to be something that's outside of norm. It sounds like they would have a pretty decent, that's a pretty great benefit as somebody. So I'm just questioning on how some of the stuff comes up to being, where those prices are, and you start adding them up, you end up into some 6-figure numbers rather quickly. So I'll leave it at that.
I'd like to make one brief comment.
Okay.
The union dues are deductions from payroll.
Okay, so that's just.
100%.
So the borough just,
We're a town.
the town actually is, because it's a payroll deduction, that's your pay, that's their money that they've paid, that the borough just has to write the check for covering that.
Yes.
Okay. There any other comments on any of the other questions as far as? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments? All right, that's the end of the public comment session. Okay, that's what I was gonna say.
Move,
All right,
move to enter into an executive session to discuss personnel matters.
Second?
there's been a motion and a second to go into executive session. What I'd like to do is to take a motion, because we won't, after executive session, we won't be coming back into another meeting. Executive session will end and we'll be done, so I don't want anyone to wait around thinking that there's gonna be more meeting when there's not. So can I have a motion to adjourn from?
So moved.
Wait, let me make sure I'm doing it right.
Yeah, so if you're gonna do it that way, what we need to do is actually adjourn and then go into executive session.
Go into executive session
After,
out
you know,
of the meeting?
right, because you know, if you've moved to go into executive session, so now you have to have a vote on that before you can do anything else.
Okay.
At this point, it may be easier just to quickly reconvene after the executive session and then adjourn the meeting after that.
But we've been polite enough to tell the public we're not coming back.
Yes,
Right.
You're not missing,
We're
missing anything.
We're trying to be courteous, so you're not waiting around for us to say adjourn.
Right.
Okay, all right, so that's what we'll do then. So we'll break into executive session, and then we'll just close the meeting from in there.
Right, so you need a vote on the motion to executive session.
All those in favor of going into executive session?
Aye.
All those opposed?